It is of great concern that our current legal and so-called justice system does not aim to find the root causes of aberrant, corrupt, or even violent behaviour. Instead, the most it will produce as a result of a court hearing is a form of punishment. Surely the most effective way to tackle problems in society is to adopt a preventative mentality towards human behaviour. Instead, the legal and justice system works on an opposite agenda, which is to inflict punishment and hope that the criminal involved will change their behaviour. However, with a constant flow of reoffenders and rising prison populations in the UK, surely something is wrong here. The average prison population in England and Wales was just over 73,000 in 2003, and it was over 28,000 in 93. So that's an increase of 64%. And as of 21st of May 2010, the prison population in the UK is at a figure of 85,201, compared to approximately 73,000 in 93. According to the charity organisation Prison Reform Trust, 58% of prisoners in the UK reoffend within 2 years of their release. Now, these stats alone can demonstrate that punishment inflicted within the legal system is a failed social experiment. We've had punishment for thousands of years in established societies. How much longer do we need until people are convinced that this methodology is outdated and irrelevant? It seems that the majority of crimes in the UK are monetary related. For example, selling drugs, theft and financial fraud are amongst the most common crimes that occur today. And it would be logical to suggest that if we lived in a system without money, where resources are made abundant through technological means, these typical crimes could disappear, as they would no longer have any kind of basis to be in existence. In other words, there's no longer a monetary incentive to commit such crimes. Corrupt behaviour will usually come about because it is rewarded, and the sick thing about our society is that the profit motive rewards corruption on so many levels. Eliminating the monetary incentive will lead us to the right progressive changes we need. So, what is violence? Most psychologists would consider violence to be determined by three things: biological, psychological, and social causes. It's important to note that the biological propensities in the human mind do not directly cause violent behaviour, meaning that it takes a certain stimulus in the environment, such as an insult, which could cause shame, to trigger the chemical reactions in the brain, which later lead on to an emotionally aggressive outcome. Violence is not a spontaneous occurrence. There are always environmentally determined causative factors involved. The American psychiatrist James Gilligan produced an excellent summary of how the processes of punishment can bring about detrimental effects when considering violent behaviour. Always remember that punishment stimulates violence. Punishment is itself a form of violence. Violence only leads to more violence. Punishment is just another word for revenge, and revenge is endless, leading only to endless vicious circles of counter-revenge. So this summary of punishment towards violent behaviour is not logically sustainable in society, and if punishment creates further violence, bitterness and resentment, why don't we try and adopt a new system for helping people who commit acts of violence? It's time we rethink our outdated methods. There is not a rogue, violent gene that directly causes for people to physically harm others, and we no longer live in a world where there's a common belief that people are inherently and naturally aberrant or corrupt, and we no longer follow beliefs of evil demons possessing people's minds. Thankfully, the emergent fields of neuroscience and psychology can explain human behaviour on a scientific level, where the person's environment is taken into account. We need to assist with psychological rehabilitation and educated programs for all prisoners to make sure they can safely fit in with society. What are we saying to people when we lock them up for a crime they have done? And what is the ultimate achievement in this action? Some may call it justice, but justice is just a subjective word with different meanings involved. The main concern should be about the mental well-being of people who act in aberrant ways. The key to all of this is supporting a direction which looks to identify root causes of behaviour.